UFC 214, Cormier vs Jones 2. What time does it start in the UK and what channel is it on? Getty. Daniel Cormier vs. Jon Jones 2. Headlines. UFC 214. We are a little over 5 days away from the UFC's 7th pay-per-view card of 2017. In the early hours of Sunday morning, Daniel Cormier will defend his light heavyweight title against Jon Jones in the main event of UFC 214. The eagerly anticipated bout will be a rematch of the main event of UFC 182, which saw Jones register a unanimous decision victory over his bitter rival. The co-main event of the evening features a welterweight title fight between champion Tyron Woodley and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu phenom Demian Maia. The vacant women's featherweight title will also be contested for at UFC 214, with Cris Cyborg and Tonya Evinger vying to become the second woman to hold the belt. UFC 214 is stacked with quality fights from top to bottom, making it a truly unmissable card. Here is everything you need to know about the upcoming event. When and where is UFC 214 taking place? UFC 214 takes place at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California in the early hours of Sunday morning. What channel is UFC 214 on? The main card and the preliminary fights will be shown live on BT Sport 2. Alternatively, if you don't have BT Sport, you can watch the preliminary fights on UFC's Fight Pass service. Getty. UFC 214 will see Tyron Woodley defends his welterweight title against Demian Maia. What time does UFC 214 start? The preliminary fights will get underway at 11:30 p.m. on Saturday. The main card, which kicks off with the light heavyweight title eliminator between Jimmy Manuwa and Volkanij Demir, commences at 3 a.m. What can we expect in the main event? Ladies and gentlemen, expect fireworks. Cormier and Jones' utter disdain for one another is no secret and will no doubt come to the fore during fight week. The two best light heavyweights on the planet have twice been scheduled to rematch one another in the last year and a half. Getty. Cris Cyborg, pictured, will fight Tonya Evinger for the vacant women's featherweight title. However, much to the disappointment of mixed martial arts fans across the world, their proposed encounters at UFC 197 and UFC 200 fell through. Cormier will go into the contest looking to prove to the world that he is indeed the best light heavyweight on the planet, a fact many doubt as he claimed the 205-pound title after Jones was stripped of the belt following his involvement in a hit-and-run incident in April 2015. Getty. Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones exchanged pleasantries at the UFC summer kickoff press conference. Jones, who hasn't set foot inside the octagon since his April 2016 victory over Vincent Pro, will be eager to close the book on his rivalry with Cormier with an emphatic victory, which would see him become a two-time UFC champion and cement his place as one of the greatest fighters of all time. The fact both men have so much riding on this rematch makes it a fight you can't afford to miss. UFC 214, Cormier vs. Jones 2-fight card venue, Honda Center, Anaheim, California. Main card, Daniel Cormier vs. Jon Jones, light heavyweight title bout, Tyron Woodley vs. Demian Maia, welterweight title bout, Cristian Justino vs. Tonya Evinger, women's featherweight title bout. Getty. UFC 2124 features a welterweight barn-burner between Robbie Lawler and Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone, welterweight bout, Jimmy Manuwa vs. Volkanij Demir, light heavyweight bout. Getty. Britain's Jimmy Manuwa takes on Volkanij Demir at UFC 214. Prelims. Ricardo Lamas vs. Jason Knight, featherweight bout, Aljamain Sterling vs. Renan Barrow, catchweight bout 118 pounds, Brian Ortega vs. Renato Moicano, featherweight bout, Andre Fili vs. Calvin Kattar, featherweight bout. Getty. UFC 214 takes place at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. UFC Fight Pass prelims: Kylan Curran vs. Alexandra Albu. Women's strawweight bout: Eric Shelton vs. Jard Brooks. Flyweight bout: Josh Burkman vs. Drew Dober. Lightweight bout: Getty. Britain's Jimmy Manuwa can earn a shot at the light heavyweight title at UFC 214. UFC 214 takes place at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California in the early hours of Sunday morning. The promotion's 22nd card of the year will be available to watch live on BT Sport 2.